So last week we memed with Arayo while playing around with Fantasticar, but what does a more serious Fantasticar deck look like? Well, let's find out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And the Fantasticar is taking Legacy by storm, and we're trying to figure out what to do about this card, how good this card actually is. And while last week I was memeing with Arayo, today I want to try a serious 5-0 Fantasticar decklist and see how this works. So Garrett, I'm going to use my dealer's choice donation decklist from you to fund this video. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll do some busted stuff today. Based on early results, it's looking like the Fantasticar is best in decks that have Dark Ritual. These are going to be your Storm decks and your Doomsday decks. But Arkan 5-0'd with this artifact pile that conceptually was very, very similar to what I wanted to play when we were doing the Arayo League, but I opted to meme a little bit, and I think we still went positive and had a great league doing that. So this is play a ton of artifacts quickly and do broken stuff deck. So we have Patchwork Automaton to pay off all of the 0 costs, as well as the Fantasticar and Pinnacle Emissary. Similar to what I was doing previously in the other build, this does have Kappa Cannoneer in the sideboard rather than the main deck. I think my version did not have Force of Will, and this one does. There's a lot of broken stuff going on right now, so wanting to put the brakes on that is reasonable, but that means you probably need to run a couple extra copies of Sink into Stupor rather than a few extra islands like I was running last week. The blue count here is a little bit low for Force of Will, and Sink into Stupor helps bridge that gap. This build is also running Thoughtcast, which is a way to help flip the Fantasticar if you just have it floating in play. You can Thoughtcast often for 1 mana, use that to refuel, and then set up your Fantasticar turns. I don't think I have much else to say here. Let's go ahead and jump into some matches and see how powerful this deck is actually going to be. And folks, should you need any magic cards, like, I don't know, some 0-cost artifacts or something for some reason, consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order while supporting me and my content. Someday, I'll have the time to update my commander decks, but not right now. Legacy is too exciting, so let's battle. So I haven't gotten to do Pinnacle Emissary Thoughtcast before, I don't think. Assuming my stuff resolved. No! Never mind. That Thoughtcast was going to be, just so strong alongside Pinnacle Emissary. So you go Pinnacle Emissary, 1, 2, 3. You have well over enough Metalcraft for this, enough artifacts for Affinity for this to just cost 1. I have lost the Thoughtcast. I'm going to warp this in. I could play out something to play around Days first, and that would be, perfectly reasonable as well. Oh, it's a Snuff Out. Tasty. Wasn't expecting that. In which case, I should have played Bauble first, not Opal, in case I rip Fantasticar. For Bowmaster reasons, I guess I'm going to crack this now. An Inquisition as well. Okay. I'll put that in play then. I actually don't want my redraw here. I do want my redraw. Hell yeah. I can lose Mox Opal, that's fine. This Urza Saga is a big deal. Opponent is at 13. I wonder if they're playing Death Shadow with main deck Snuff Outs. There's Tamiyo. Force of Will, not what I'm looking for, but this Urza Saga was a great pickup. We're hoping for no Wasteland. So I would really prefer that this Tamiyo not flip. That would be cool. Where is my Pithing Needle? I assume there's one in this deck. Okay, it is main deck. So I do have an onboard answer to Tamiyo Planeswalker. Tamiyo comes in, block it. And then Ponder is going to be the 3rd card drawn this turn. Ponder +1 for draw step. So Tamiyo transforms and pluses. Fuck, that's the literal one card I didn't want my opponent to have. That's so bad. Well, I mean, it's going in play. And I will play some spell that will allow me to turn it into a creature and smack Tamiyo, hopefully. The non-broken mode of Fantasticar. Which, by the way, I believe was supposed to cost 4 mana. Like, lots of people said that for flavor reasons, but then the Japanese version of the BNR update referenced the fact that it cost 4 originally in design, and then that was deleted from the article. So, conspiracy theorists have fun with that one. There is a flow state. My current plan is draw Thoughtcast, draw into a second Thoughtcast, play 2 other spells, transform the Fantasticar, and then do a little dance. Bauble comes down. Opponent gets to see my next card. Tamiyo at 6, which is pretty scary. That's a pretty good Lotus Petal. I'm a creature. This now lets me smack Tamiyo, admittedly for 3. And I can hardcast a Force of Will if need be. It's a little awkward giving up double Lotus Petal to make that happen. I don't think that's the one. I don't think that's it either. Opponent will bobble me. Patchwork Automaton is not something that triggers the Fantasticar. So Tamiyo may continue to do Tamiyo things. And we'll see if I get punished for not countering Nethergoyf. Tamiyo pluses to 7. That's the magic number. Wasteland is there. Looks like my opponent's not going to use it. I have plenty of mana, so that's reasonable. I think they don't attack with Nethergoyf because of Patchwork. Emry is not anything that grows Patchwork and not anything that triggers Fantasticar. That's pretty disastrous. I think the way that I win this game is now cast 4 spells in the same turn cycle and 16 my opponent with Fantasticar. That feels gross. Emry does Emry stuff, and I'll pass the turn. This would be a 1-1 anyway. Another Goyf body is not relevant there. And my opponent cracks a clue. Without the Emry, do I want to keep playing this game versus my opponent's Tamiyo Ultimate? My guess is that my opponent wins this one, like, handily without me having the Emry. I'm not gonna play that out. GG. So, what is my plan here? I think I'm gonna get rid of Force of Wills. I think I just want to have more threats and removal. I think this is kind of the stuff that I'm thinking about. And Disruptor Flute on Tamiyo Planeswalker is acceptable. I think with Needle in the deck, I don't have to do that. I could also go down Thoughtcast if I'm expecting Bowmasters. I think I'm good with Dismembers for Tamiyo. Tormod's Crypts as just 0 cost artifacts that have synergy with my stuff. Yeah, if I play around Bowmasters fully, I just do this. And I'm a little worse at transforming the Fantasticar, and I treat the Fantasticar as either something I combo with early or something that is just 4 damage per turn cycle. With my only land being Urza's Saga here, this does not look keepable to me. This just doesn't get going. Yeah. On 6, yeah. And I'm just unhappy about it. A Wasteland is such a disaster for me here. Mox Opal is not turned on to be the blue mana for Emry. Bobbling themselves for information. That normally happens when there's a fetch land. And then this is just going to be past the turn. They like the card that is currently on top of their library. That's a big draw. Yeah, that's good. So now we are pivoting to Emry, which will be dazable. Emry is not dazed. Oh, wow. That was rough. I think I want... No, I'm going to hold the Mox Opal in hand. I kind of want it in play because discard is a thing, but the discard probably takes one of these 2 cards anyway. I might not actually be playing around anything there. Calling Tarn fetches Underground Sea. Fatal Push tags Emry. And then I get another turn here. So I will float a mana. What do I want? I think I want a bauble that I can cycle repeatedly with Emry. Get a Mishra's Bauble. Ancient Tomb. Lava Spur Boots. Crack Bauble now? For like Emry priority pass reasons. Activate Emry, or well, cast Emry. I guess there's still this point here. Go for equip. Get equipped. Activate targeting a bauble again. Cast a bauble again. I'm just going to look at that same card. And then I don't think I want to cast a Dismember until it's my turn again, so I'm going to hold this in case it matters for other stuff. All right, dodged Bowmasters. Hello. It's the other stuff I was talking about. I currently have 3 of the things that I would need to 16 my opponent with the Fantasticar. Fatal Push immediately. Now I only have 2 of the things that I would need. Opponent does have to pay for the ward there. And then they are going to Surveil. I'm real close. I think I'm not going for 16. I think I don't want to leave this chilling in my hand. I think I'm just going to do chip damage with this and cycle this bauble. I could do a little bit more damage right now. Oh no, this doesn't innately have haste. Whoops. I do need to equip it the first turn. Beep beep. In which case I maybe threaded this turn wrong. Alright, there's a Force of Will and an Underground Sea. And presumably no blue card if Fantasticar just resolved. Alright, what are we doing? Barrogoyf. 5/6 Barrogoyf is inconvenient for me. Am I hard casting Pinnacle Emissary? What am I doing with this card? Kind of want to hard cast it. I don't know, the warp is good here. Then we're going to do this. I've thought of a new line. I was intending on Shadow Spear Crash In, but there's also Dismember this and Fantasticar block, because it will be a creature. That's sort of intriguing. I think I'm not going to go for that, but it sure is interesting. Okay, cool. So now, next turn I can go for that. I will send in for 4 in the air. Put my opponent to 8, warp that out. And I think I'm gonna block so that my opponent doesn't get another body here. They're very low on resources. They get the life no matter what. That's a Brainstorm. Followed by a Ponder. No! Goyf also becomes a 6/7 there. And now Nethergoyf is in the picture as well. Ugh. I think I'm losing this one. Equip that, I guess. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe I put it on the drone to get the guaranteed damage in. Opponent at 9. I think this is just going to overwhelm me. So both creatures are coming in. I'm just going to take this to the face. It's the majority of my life total. I don't really know what I'm playing towards in terms of out here. Another Barrogoyf as well. I don't know, maybe I needed to approach the Fantasticar as something that has to do 16 rather than like 8. The opponent did choose Barrogoyf, but is going to Brainstorm first and then passes the turn. So I have 4, 8, 9, 10 damage. I can't tap Ancient Tomb. So instead I have to warp Pinnacle Emissary in, triggering the other Pinnacle Emissary. And then I can give this one haste with boots. There's like presumably Force of Will blue card here, right? Like if my opponent did not play out the Barrogoyf, Pinnacle Emissary resolves. Here's Bauble, triggering both of those things, turning the Fantasticar into a creature. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I fall short here. I move this over here, and I'm dead to there being 2 different creatures here. But I nearly punched through that Barrogoyf lifelink. Like, my opponent goes to 2. I don't think I'm on any outs here. I'll take my redraw, because it'll take 5 seconds to. but I just, like, don't have things that are castable off of Ancient Tomb there. And while I can hold back for one of those blockers, I can't get both. And the fact that these can only block creatures with flying gets me there. So my opponent gets that match 2-0. That was a good game of Magic. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I love them. I have over 1,000 deck lists here. And I think the thing that I like the most about them is they're more than just a basic deck builder. If you need information about your next pre-release or where you can get cards, they have that sort of stuff here too. Whether you need to manage your collection or just a couple of decks, Moxfield does it all. So go check them out. All right, what does this hand do? Urza Saga, Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Emry for 1 mana? Or alternatively, I can just lead on Sink into Stupor and play Emry and then do Saga on turn 2. Either way, the hand's a keep. I think I am okay not doing Saga on 1 to throw down the Emry that can generate card advantage for me, backed by Force of Will. My opponent pitches Force of Will. I'll Force of Will right back. Emry resolves. Graveyard is not great right now. It's just Lava Spur Boots, which, like, I'll take it. Holy shit, it's Boggles. Alright. We gotta go fast. I mean, that helps for sure. So there's Saga, Patchwork Automaton, target Lava Spur Boots, cast Lava Spur Boots. Let's just always yield to Patchwork Automaton. Let us put the pants on Lava Spur Boots and get in there for 3. This is absolutely an every single point of life and damage is going to matter situation. I don't know what sort of horseshit enchantments my opponent is going to have to put on this, but I am shields down. My opponent goes to 15. I don't know what that is. Whenever a creature you control enters Scry 1, whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, draw a card. All right. Emry, target Lotus Petal, cast Lotus Petal. Oh, is this worth doing? Or do I just give the Construct token haste 100% of the time? I think I'm going to give the Construct token haste 100% of the time. Move that there at the cost of this. And just crash in for 8 immediately. Bring my opponent to 7. Drawing cards is fun. Winning games of Magic, potentially more fun. Alright, so that's flying. My opponent gets to draw a card. And then they get to scry for their other creature. This is all okay. I will make a friend. Am I just getting a Lotus Petal here? Might just be getting Lotus Petal here. I will Thoughtcast off of this Lotus Petal, and there's still another one I can do with Emry as well. That did not hit good things for me. I can play Urza Saga to equip here and attack with haste. So yeah, Emry, target Lotus Petal. Second Lotus Petal of the turn. Mishra's Bauble as well. Lava Spur Boots over to the one that can attack, or rather so that it can attack. And my opponent's not technically dead, but that's pretty devastating. That was a turn 4 kill. GG's. What am I doing against my opponent's stuff? The answer might just be kill them. So the Dismembers and Aether Spellbomb type stuff isn't going to work versus my opponent's hexproof creatures. Soul Guide Lantern can go here. Shadow Spear for Trample seems relevant. Metallic Rebuke, Force of Negation are kind of interesting. Am I faster than them? I don't know. I'm only on my second match with this exact build, and Fantasticar is new enough that I don't really know. What am I even pithing needling? Probably nothing. That can go. Seems reasonable for that slot to become Metallic Rebuke or Force of Negation. I don't exactly know what the big payoff enchantment is going to be. Like, it used to be stuff like Daybreak Coronet. No? I think no. I'm almost there. I need another mana to put Fantasticar into play, but then I just 16 my opponent, which I'm going to assume wins. So I will keep this, and like a Lotus Petal would win me the game, essentially. Pinnacle Emissary. I will just make my land drop and chill, I think. Opponent can fetch and presumably surveil. Yep. Staggering Insight. Lifelink and draw a card. Okay, got it. The opponent gets their second land drop and plays Invisible Stalker, which is fine. Might lose this one to my own mana. Okay, opponent might, like, legitimately put themselves to 16. Alright, so there's that Season of Growth again. If I'm only getting domed for 1, this is totally fine. 19. Boots. I think I'm just gonna cast that. I think that's worth 2 life. And then I just won't discard. So my conceptual game plan is cast a Fantasticar, have it get countered, cast a second Fantasticar, and do the thing with it. Sheltered by Ghosts. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, that's actively good because I'm sweating my Mox Opal here. And then opponent double fetches. Ah, there's the Daybreak Coronet. Now that that has First Strike and Lifelink, the 16 of the Fantasticar is looking a lot worse. I think I'm going to scoop this one up. I think this is one that just didn't work out. We are so close to Fantasticar Crimes there, but I think with that creature as large as it is now, I'm just in trouble. Let's run it back. This does not have enough mana to do Fantasticar stuff. I will mulligan this. Yeah, this is fine. I keep this, and I think I'll get rid of Ancient Tomb. Start on Seat, so I can maximize my artifact mana here. So here is a Mox Opal, and an Urza's Bauble. Thoughtcast easily. Costs 1 mana at this stage, and that's all I'm getting out of this. I will see the thing that gives flying in my opponent's hand, and I will take my redraw after my creature warps out, and opponent is chilling. I'll send in for 2, and then I think I am in to play Saga, play Pinnacle Emissary from Exile, cast Mox Opal, keep this Mox Opal, and then that lets me hold up Metallic Rebuke, which I think I will cast on just about anything for tempo. Yeah, we'll cast that on that for tempo, shall we say. That's real good. Ooh, so is that. Alright, opponent has Collector Oof. My mana production is off. However, I might still just kill my opponent by clocking them. So I do this. Can't equip it, obviously. None of this stuff works. But I'll just send in for a bunch of damage. Opponent might be in the situation where they just start throwing enchantments on Collector Oof and hope for the best. Yep. Oh, what's that second one? First Strike. I don't like you having flying in First Strike. I sure don't have Dismembers right now, do I? Alright. I have a single island. I think I will attack with all of these and push a little bit of damage, but I think I'm not going to endanger Pinnacle Emissary. My opponent will take 3, go to 7. I'm in trouble if my opponent gives this lifelink. Season of Growth is fine, that doesn't do anything immediately. And my opponent can't really attack in. I can't cast that. In we go. Opponent will end up taking 2 at 5. That's fine. My opponent gets to draw a card every time they cast one of these enchantments. I think we're going to get soloed by Collector Oof, unfortunately. Force of Will is neat. At this point, I think I'll hold back. Drawing that island would be so huge. No, you don't get that one. Force of Will, pitch, Pinnacle Emissary. Shit. So, like, I can block this, but my opponent just regained all of their life, and I don't really have outs to that Collector Oof. We got soloed by a Collector Oof there. That was a Collector Oof backed by 2 Force of Wills. That's not overly surprising. GG. Alright, I have a mediocre opening hand here. I get to Pinnacle Emissary. Yes, your turn 1 blind Disruptor Flute resolves. My opponent has named Wasteland. I'm not doing that. I got interrupted in the middle of my own thought. I have not been overly impressed by the Pinnacle Emissary opening hands. I don't feel like they are as good as a lot of the other opening hands, but I'm just going to vomit 4 0-cost artifacts into play, and then redraw 3 of those into new things immediately. So this looks pretty good. This puts 4 power into play at turn 1. What are we working with over there? A new Disruptor Flute. Another Disruptor Flute. Maybe the same Disruptor Flute. And then top card of library is a Trinisphere. Whoo! Alright. Well, my opponent's got an Ancient Tomb and I have 4 power in play. This is probably fine overall. 1, 2, 3? Probably not easily proccing Fantasticar's 16 power mode. Trinisphere resolves. We doing Pinnacle Emissary? I think I end of turn sink into Stupor Trinisphere and then play the Fantasticar, Bobble Bobble, hopefully one other thing. I think that's my line. In we go. Opponent is at 12 with Ancient Tomb, with 2 Ancient Tombs. Alright, opponent's chilling. Sink into Stupor on Trinisphere. Are you going to Disruptor Flute something and just name the Fantasticar? Flute comes in. There was another one. We didn't look at the same one twice randomly. Opponent has named Force of Will. And then Kozilek's Command, a 1/1 drone token. Sure. This game's so easy. The Fantasticar. Bobble. Bobble. Fuck, I could have Pinnacle Emissaried too. Alright, good shit. I got a little lazy there because I knew we had the win versus a tapped out Tron player. GG. Could have played that last turn tighter. So presumably I need Disruptor Flute and Force of Negation, maybe also Metallic Rebuke for 1 ring type stuff. Probably don't need Soul Guide Lantern here. I conceptually don't know what exactly I'm supposed to do from here. This lowers my blue count if I do this, but I could do something like this, and it would be perfectly reasonable. But I also could try to play a more controlling game with Thoughtcasts. This doesn't look good. I think I just mulligan this. Feels like a mess. So this goes Ancient Tomb, Patchwork Automaton, scale it up roughly 3 times immediately while taking a called shot with Pithing Needle. Or a mulligan, that seems perfectly acceptable. Power Plant comes down, Lotus Petal. Hold on now. Actually, it might be positive if they show me which of their big dumb threats they have so that I get to needle it effectively on turn 1. But if it's Karn, fuck. Karn. Not great. Opponent goes for coding. This is still a functional land. We will shut off Karn. Now, unfortunately, shutting off Karn it still means that its static ability is working, so life's still bad. Your Monolith gets untapped, and my opponent can play the coding, and this can still just work as Rashadan Port rather than Sinkhole. So we do see that in upkeep. Force of Negation, not very strong right now. There's Patchwork Automaton. I think I don't know, Trinisphere is in my opponent's deck? Trinisphere is in my opponent's deck. Alright, let's scale these up now. Opponent's Grim Monolith doing some serious heavy lifting here. But I, in theory, get to attack and kill Karn next turn. In theory. No blue card for Force of Negation, unfortunately. So I will get Rashadan ported again by Liquimetal Coating. That's a weird one. It's good. Just a little weird in terms of the timing that I can use this card with Liquimetal Coating being a thing. Your Monolith gets untapped. Alright, I mean, that's why we played that stuff out earlier. So my opponent can shut this down on my turn, but I can still make the constructs on their turn. I think in a Stupor is a land drop that I can activate through Karn, which is fine. I think I'm just going to play Seat, though. I think I want this to be a blue card for Force of Negation. Nexus comes down. Bigger mana plays are online, which hopefully I just Force of Negation if I have to. It's a 1-ring. Yeah, does cost me a construct token, but I think I just have to stop that. So we can go into my turn, and I can make a construct token in response to Liquimetal Coating here. And I will activate this one now. That's fine. So the thing that I fetch up here is not online immediately, and I already have my Pithing Needle in play. Assuming I get rid of Karn, I kind of want Lava Spur Boots. And I'll hold this one so that I don't take damage from Ancient Tomb. This is a big turn for my opponent here. The coast is clear for crimes if they have crimes. 3 mana for Lotus Petal. Hell yeah. Yeah. So, combat. I think I do kill Karn, because that unlocks these baubles. What's going on over there? There's an Ugin. 1, 2, 3 mana for this. I do need Lotus Petal and this. I think I'm not casting a bauble. Is it worth 2 to equip? Probably not. I think I'll just pass the turn here. Take my bauble, redraw. Oh, a 3rd Ancient Tomb. What a treat! Grim Monolith gets untapped. 3, 4, 5. That's the One Ring. Sure does seem like I need to counter that card. Alright, 2 more life down. Ugin potentially a problem card on the horizon. That's Lotus Petal. Good news is this construct token is colorless. How much damage am I willing to do to myself this turn? I think I will put this in play. It's worth 1 power. If I put Petal in play, it's up to 6 power. I can equip for 7 power. And I try to 2-turn my opponent. It comes at the cost of not being able to tap Ancient Tombs again, though, which seems like a big deal. I think I'm gonna put 1 more power into play. Oh wait, I counted wrong? I'm at 6, I'll be at 4. I can tap Ancient Tomb. Alright. In. I will go for 7 damage. Bringing my opponent to 9. Pass the turn there. The Monolith gets untapped. 3 mana for Monolith. Opponent gets Ugin next turn. I could cycle Bauble. I think I'm good with it existing in play as +1 power. I can put my opponent to 1 here. I think I'm just going to crack for 7 rather than 8. And then I crack this one to give myself a shot. Ooh, that's another one. A shot at another... No, I only have 2 Force Negations. That's not live. Fantasticar. Not amazing with Trinisphere around. All my stuff's colorless, so nothing's going away. But my opponent can go up to 5 life and then try to do something that gets in the way of this construct token? Ooh, they don't. That did not feel graceful. I would like to stop running into Collector Oof and Karn style cards. This league has been tough. GG's. I feel like this one is just not my league. Mulligan. This is ugly. I do not think the Fantasticar is good in this deck. I'm going to keep it. I think I'm playing colorless beatdown backed by Force of Will. And I think I just pass the turn here and do Fantasticar, just put it into play on turn 2. Wasteland would be devastating. Not Wasteland. Opponent fetches. Underground Sea Gamer. Is the Fantasticar worth protecting for the 4 damage per turn cycle that it does? I'm going to say no, because if this is a combo deck, my blue card for Force of Will actually is more important than the Fantasticar itself. I have lost the Fantasticar, and we will see whether or not that is a good thing. And has gotten weird. I'll pass the turn back here. You may have your Brainstorm. Misty Rainforest. Into another Thoughtseize. Yeah. So I now lose my blue card for Force of Will, which I did value pretty highly. Hopefully I draw a new blue card. I didn't. So this is where I'm at now. There's some question about whether or not I attempt to spike the card draw immediately for a blue card for Force of Will. I don't know what I am playing against yet to see exactly how important that is. If I am playing against something fair, then the Bauble in play matters a lot because Orcish Bowmasters can kill the construct token otherwise. It's kind of looking like this might just be Doomsday. Here's a construct token. I'm not gonna cycle that. So we'll make a construct. These are 3/3s. I will turn them into 4/4s. I could attack for 9 immediately with Lava Spur Boots. No, I also have Mishra's Bauble. I think I'm assuming that I always kill next turn. I think I'm just going to like rip 3 baubles out of play. 4 redraws here. So cast another one. I will send in for 5, which will become 6 points of damage here after I make this construct. Opponent's at 8. What are you drawing? Lotus Petal. Sure. What's in your hand? Lotus Petal. And then we will look at one of those Lotus Petals again. So I am looking to hit a blue card in 3 draws for Force of Will, which seems pretty likely, but like I can miss there. It is certainly not guaranteed. And I have lethal on board even before this other construct token gets involved. Yep. There's the Doomsday. Here is the Force of Will. Days. Opponent has made their pile. Let's see if there's Fantasticars in here. There are Fantasticars in here. The entire playset as well. Opponent to 4, which means that some of these Street Wraith, like these double Street Wraith lines, don't necessarily work. But my opponent has 4 mana after a Doomsday pile. This should be trivial. They've got it. And it also looks like they had Force of Will as well. So, like, even if I don't activate this at sorcery speed for 1 more damage, they just had Force. Woof. GG's. I probably want Metallic Rebukes and Force of Negations, and I'll consider Disruptor Flutes as well. Full Guide Lantern can probably go. Pithing Needle can probably go. I don't know at what point in this league I give up on the Fantasticar and start boarding it out. I am a doubter of Fantasticar in this shell. You can't, in some cases, easily use the Lotus Petal and Mox Opal stuff to power it out, because you want to use it on Pinnacle Emissary and Patchwork Automaton things. So when you draw the Fantasticar after your opening hand, it's really, really, really awkward. Unless it's just attacking for 4, which is like fine. I could take kind of a half and half approach and do this. But these Disruptor Flutes seem really good. I'm going to board out the Fantasticars and then trim 1 other random card somewhere else. This does not have enough mana to be functional. Shame. Alright. Seat, Petal, Patchwork Automaton, immediate Petal, and then rely on Thoughtcast to go into the mid-game. I don't love it. I don't think it's worth mulliganing, but it sure doesn't feel good. Let's play out our mana. Patchwork Automaton. Force of Will is devastating. Okay, cool. We dodged. And then, assuming it is still in my hand next turn, I will Thoughtcast and try to refuel. Not a particularly amazing Thoughtcast. Oh, opponent's just going. That's scary. Opponent at 10 life. Let's take a quick skim of this here. I see 1, 2, 3 Force of Wills, so it looks like my opponent is going to have Force of Will backup. Hate that. Ancient Tomb. So I can play Ancient Tomb and attempt to sink into Stupor something back to my opponent's hand. I don't know that that's a winning line. I'm going to go for broke here and attempt to Thoughtcast my way into something that's stronger. I succeeded. So this can Mox Opal and hit for a marginally higher amount of damage this turn, and then I just aggressively Force of Negation literally anything I can. In for 3. Cavern here, by the way. I don't see... No, there is Cavern. I mean, that happens. I've lost Sink into Stupor. I cannot hardcast Force of Negation here. There's LED, so a Cycler will do it from here. There's Edge of Autumn. Consider empties the deck. And then there's Oracle. An opponent had, before that, Force of Will, pitching Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Anyway, play Doomsday. That is the single deck that I recommend the most right now, based on its performance in Legacy. This is a really rough league, though. GG. Like, how are we ever going to cast this card? The Dark Ritual mana is just so incredibly important to making that card work. I can keep, like, a bad Urza Saga, bad Emry hand with disappearing lands, or I can just mulligan this one. I legitimately think I'm going to mulligan this one. It's a pretty bad Emry hand, whereas this is an incredible Patchwork Automaton hand. So this just gets to lead on Patchwork Automaton, bobbling twice, and then lead into Urza's Saga with multiple redraws. What are we working with over there? Lotus Petal. Let's try to get some blue counterspell stuff in hand. Like opponent is doing unfair stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Thank you, deck. Very kind. You've just been behaving so well today, Affinity deck. Ancient Tomb Lotus Petal. More other Lotus Petal. It's Eldrazi. Are you the beatdown? You are trying to be the beatdown. How do I feel about that? I can trade here and just try to play an Urza Saga game. This card might just beat me. I'm gonna trade. Opponent's got an Ancient Tomb. I've got an Urza Saga coming. And just nothing else. I'm worried that if I leave this in play, I'm just in bad shape. Chalice on 0 is rough. Pinnacle Emissary. Stellar draw with my current mana situation. Alright. Eye of Ugin comes down. Opponent is in, like, Reality Smasher territory on turn 2 already, unfortunately. Fuck. Yeah. Maybe it's a good time to play this deck. Chalice on 0 people. Wayscape Battle Mage, their Urza Sagas. I can Pinnacle Emissary for a 1/1 creature. That doesn't seem good. I think my hand is just butt. I think I'm dead. Ozilek's Command. Notably, those are going to be 1/2s because of It That Heralds the End. I'm going to die so quickly to my opponent's stuff, even if they don't find big scary things. And they did bottom twice there. Petrified Hamlet names Urza Saga. Fuck. I'm so dead. How do I ever beat this? I take 7 here, and there's literal lethal on board for the following turn. And I sure don't get to do anything with that. Good God. GG. I don't have consigned memories here. My opponent... Fuck! This is a disaster. How about an Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, Fantasticar, Bauble, Opener, 16 my opponent. Let's do that 2 games in a row. I think I need Force of Negation for Chalice. I'm going to turn Soul Guide Lantern into Spellbomb. I kind of want to Kappa Cannoneer as a large body that can keep getting bigger if my opponent does something like Chalice me. I think if I'm trying to do something broken immediately on the first turn cycle, I get rid of Thoughtcast. Maybe I don't Spellbomb, maybe I Shadow Spear. I'm going to try to live the dream of Fantasticar. I don't think I've done it a single time this entire league. Petrified Hamlet ruins this hand that is otherwise very strong. Keep. Saga. Vomit out all 3 0-cost artifacts. And pass turn. It is Eldrazi Temple. You may have It That Heralds the End. You may not have Chalice on 0. At least I have these in play already, so my mana is reasonable looking. Alright, you know, that's fine. If you insist. Alright, is Petrified Hamlet a trigger? Yes, so I can respond to it. Alright, that's colored mana for my opponent. There's an Eldrazi Linebreaker, which is a decent-sized body. It's getting the buff from It That Heralds the End. So that's a 4/2. I am taking that damage, going to 16, and then 14 from this, soon to be 12 on top of that. Ugh. 12. This feels like Shadow Spear to me. Get this into play. 7/7 into an 8/8. And just send that in with lifelink and trample. Bring me back up to 20. I think I leave the baubles in play rather than crack them. A lot of my spells are bad now. Holy hell. I'm glad that you're doing this combat math. Alright, so double triggers. Both 7/4s. So, if I attack... Okay, if I take this, I go to 6. And then I go back to 14. And I might die. The It That Heralds the End would have to block. My opponent could hit me back for 12 next turn, as of right now. And then basically any creature would kill me. I think I block and don't let my opponent have 2 of those. It saves me a large amount of life and lets me just keep playing this Shadow Spear game. Force of Will is a very bad draw here. So I will send in for 7. My opponent just takes that. Goes to 5. I can't play Lotus Petal because of Chalice. I could cycle Bobble here, but the individual points of power on this construct token currently matter for trampling over and potentially not dying to multiple blockers. Thought-Knot's here, resolves. You may take my Force of Will. So my opponent gets that trigger, and they'll bash in for a little bit. Ugh. I think I'm not cracking Bobbles, but it's getting a little dicey. So I cast a Pithing Needle. Probably just name Wasteland. This It that heralds the end is really messing with the combat math in a way that I don't like. I think I'm getting in there. And killing Thought-Knot Seer while gaining a bunch of life. So kill Thought-Knot Seer. Mark a bunch of damage here. Draw a card. Seat is not what I'm looking for. So at this stage, I cycle these Bobbles. Top card's another Thought-Knot Seer. So I can cycle the other one in hopes of finding Force of Will and blue card for my draw. I think I just don't. And I let the Thought-Knot Seer come down. And then hope that whatever card I draw off of this is good. This matchup feels horrible. Thought-Knot Seer puts my opponent to 1. They get to take Emry. Now they get to decide how much to whack me for. I imagine the answer is you turn everything sideways here. Opponent agrees. I go to 9 after gaining a ton of life off of Shadow Spear. See what my opponent's getting next turn. It's a land. Creature like Emry plus Lava Spur Boots. Fantasticar will do. No, it won't, because it doesn't have haste. Oh, that's frustrating. Okay. Patchwork. Fantasticar. Oh, fuck, I didn't want to play that Lotus Petal. I wanted to save that. I was thinking about equipping Shadow Spear, but I was a mana short of that. So there's the Eldrazi Temple that I know about. And I think my opponent just buffs here, and then I can't block enough to stay alive. It's going to be another hasty Thought-Knot Seer. All right. Message received. What an absolute disaster of a league. I hated this deck. GG's. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I know this one 5-0'd, but this felt absolutely terrible. Maybe my draws were bad, but I did not do the Fantasticar 16 damage thing a single time in this entire league. Part of that was the mana. Like, really, Dark Ritual matters so much towards making this work. And you don't get to hold back a ton of resources if you're trying to do this, like, Pinnacle Emissary, Patchwork Automaton, Emry thing. So the Fantasticar can, like, absolutely, in theory, steal some early games where you just have Ancient Tomb and Petal specifically. Otherwise, the Fantasticar is a turn 2 play for this deck, at which point the Thought Seizes and Inquisitions and Dazes and stuff just deal with it. I don't think the Fantasticar belongs in this shell. I think it legitimately made the deck worse. Like, it's very, very bad with the rest of the deck. Like, the Patchwork Automaton, you don't want to be casting something that's 3 mana to trigger it. Same with Pinnacle Emissary and Emry. You'd prefer to be bringing back the 0-cost stuff every turn. And Emry alone isn't enough to turn Fantasticar into a 16-power thing, not even close. Not even Emry storing up artifacts for a couple of turns gets you there easily. Yeah, this is not the home for this card. I don't think you have to worry about this from an aggro deck that looks like this. I give this one a big thumbs down. This was a stinker. I am disappointed by this one. I don't regret playing it because, like, gaining the knowledge that the Fantasticar just doesn't work in this shell is very meaningful. But, like, my meme Arayo build put up a lot more wins than this and more consistently did the Fantasticar thing. Force of Will being something that you want to hold back isn't great with Fantasticar. Yeah, I just don't like this one. I'm not going to ramble on here. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I hope this was enjoyable despite the fact that we got absolutely bullied. I've got some sweet things brewing up that I needed a little more time to work on, so hopefully this was enjoyable nevertheless, and you can look forward to some other sweet brews soon. All right, folks, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And as always, if you have a deck you want to see on the channel, the donation deck list information is in every single video description. See ya!